Hello, good evening. Welcome to episode number 9 of Let's Make an Amiga Game. This episode, I will be going through, I have a list in front of me, and I will be going through one. I realized from my supporters, okay, that some of you need to understand better the registers. So I will explain the custom chip registers for a few minutes. I will spend some time there. Secondly, I will talk about an issue that is related to myself in terms of I copied data and I was giving the source, sharing the source of the Sprite data that was incorrect. We haven't used it yet, so it's not a big thing, but I will explain what I have corrected, and also I will talk about today. We will do the player animation and all the things related to animation. If I get time, I would like to start splitting the file from one single file. It's starting to be very big to go through each part. So to scroll every time I'm scrolling a chair. So it would be good if we have separate files for the whole project. But first, let's start with my usual things. I have released episode number 25 of the 68,000 programming series based on the book of Fabio Cicci. So it's there in both languages, I mean in Italian and English. Also, I have been working, I can say it in a way, but I'm not going to show anything related to it yet. I've been working on let's say another game, which it's a Commodore 64 game, not an Amiga game. Well, I correct myself. It is a Commodore 64 game, but it's partly already written for the Amiga. But for now, it is C64. But I do have the main core of it in the Amiga, on the Amiga. So that is news. I will be sharing some of this code with my supporters because I think it's fair, no? As always, all I ask is that you subscribe to my channel or our channel, the Phaze101 YouTube channel, and like our videos. I do not ask more than this, to be fair. If you like us that much, you can join us. You can come on Patreon, and I mean, some videos are already available, some aren't. It depends on where you are in your the when you are in your subscription. Normally you get access to all videos, but not to all sources, depending on which level you are. Same thing we have on Coffee. Okay, so if you don't like Patreon, you can join Coffee. Besides that, I encourage you to follow us on Facebook, follow the page on Facebook. It's my main, let's say, hi Lolo. Thanks for the support, first of all, and thanks for being here. I, as I said, same like the YouTube. All I ask is to like our page. We have also the Commodore, the Phaze101 Facebook group and the Commodore Dev Facebook group. Both of them are Phaze101 groups. So please join those groups if you want to see more. On Commodore Dev, there is anything related to Commodore, basically, while Phaze101 is specific to Phaze101. That's the difference between those two groups. So please come there and join. Like, as always, it's my, let's say, my only thing that I ask for. Also, if you have any issues, please come to our Discord. The links are in the upper, to everything are in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So you can join, and if you have any issues, please ask. More than happy to help. Sometimes I might be busy. Sometimes I might, I have a life also, so I might not be looking at the messages. But I do reply, and of course, supporters takes preference. Now, for 68,000, remember this page. Okay, this should be your Bible. Okay, there is everything that you need to learn 68,000. All the links are there, including the page that I will be covering in a minute, and including anything related to the book or to this series, to the Amiga, Let's Make an Amiga game, etc. They are all here. You can get to the page by typing !book page. It should display the link for you. !commands, you should see all the commands of the channel that I've added so far. If you want to grab my attention, just go under in the screen lower right hand corner, you have like an icon, which I call the P101 crypto, and then you can click the first one, sound alert, hey listen, and that grabs my attention if you need anything. So, as always, I'd like to show the game that we are building, but first let's show it on the Commodore 64. Okay, this is the game that Massimo Bonucci did on the Commodore 64, which I then asked him if I can convert it to the Amiga, and he was happy that to let me do it. And there we are building this same game. Okay, so all you have to do is avoid the things on the screen. In the middle, if you stay long, you die. Okay, thanks Massimo for this. Okay, by the way, I'd like also to say I forgot to mention the Retro Programmers Inside Facebook group, where I mostly live when I am on Facebook, although these days I'm not so much. So I send my hellos to all of them. And today we have Emmanuel here. So yeah. So that is the game that we are building, which thanks to Massimo for this. It is part, when I share the code, it is on the it is part of the sources. I think I started editing it after episode number 7 or 6. So it doesn't mean that you have it, but eventually you will all get it. Before we continue, I'd like to start from the Amiga custom chip registers. This page, which you have access to it from here, I'm trying to remember, it's this one, Amiga hardware registers. Okay, if you click on it, it will be the same thing. Okay, as you see, I just like to have it open all the time because it's something that I refer to it constantly. So just to explain how to read this, okay, here is the register, okay, and the registers all start with DFF, okay, and it's only these 3 digits that vary. So that's why the copper is able to execute and do things, because it adds the DFF in front of the register number that we give it. Basically, this is the register name, and once you click on it, you get more detail. This is very important. Okay, some registers are read only on the Amiga. Some registers are write only on the Amiga. Okay, you cannot read certain registers, and you cannot. Some registers has got the read version, and some registers and the write version, and some registers has got the write version only, and some registers has got the read version only. So it depends. Okay. E, I do not know what it stands. I have to admit, I do not know what E stands for. But as long as you have this, the read and write, those are the 2 most important thing that I'm seeing also. As I could not understand what they are. I don't know if this page says what they are. It doesn't. So there is something on the page. If you go on the Amiga hardware manual, you only see R and W. So I do not know what E and S really mean. If somebody finds out, please let me know. The other important thing is the register available? E equals early. I don't know. This is split dot. This register. So this is an address register, but I'm seeing dummy address here and dummy address. So I don't know if E stands for something like that. Let's find another E and see if there's dummy also. No, the others are CIA, so they wouldn't have that. I don't know. It's this page that displays it. I mean, for me, this is the Bible page for me, but it's better what there is on the book. Okay, and the reason why is you can go on each one of these, and it gives you each bit for that register what it does. Okay, so it's why it is important. Also, some registers were enhanced, so you might go on a register which in, let's say, in ECS, okay, I'm trying to remember one right now, maybe BlitCon2, was it BlitCon2 one? I'm not sure. this one maybe. Some of these you in OCS you might have an X if you look on the manual. Ah, yeah, seems to be early read by description. Okay, so it's still read basically. Good to know. So if you go on the Amiga hardware manual, depending on which version you have, you might see an X. But because here is covering all chipset, okay, some of them might be populated with something else. So you need then to check, okay, first of all, if the register was available for OCS, ECS, and AGA. So if you see a star, it means it was available. But here you see it's not, okay? So this means that it is not available for OCS, but it is available for ECS. Funny enough, okay, this is ECS chipset. Okay, so certain things, for example, this one, Denise ID, it was not available with the OCS chipset, but it was available with the ECS chipset and of course with AGA chipset. So make sure that you know the registers that you are accessing and for which chipset. We are working with OCS, okay? We are working in this column. Even the book is using OCS. We are not using ECS. We are not using AGA. We haven't, the book has not arrived there yet. So keep that in mind. These registers, okay, because I go to this page and I said these are the hardware registers, but know the difference. Those that start with the FF are for sound and graphics, okay? These are all sound and graphics. Those that start with BFE, okay, are the CIA timers, okay, or chips, and these normally have serial and things like that, okay. Here it gives you an idea. Also, I think this is the versions through. I'm not sure if it's through the board or not. The resource, I do not know what it refers to here, because resource remind me of the resource tool. Yeah, it is referring to resource. Okay, so for those that do not know, okay, resource is a disassembler for the Amiga. Okay, it's a very powerful disassembler. It's not easy to learn. It's quite complex. I've seen disassemblers for the 8086. This one is more complex than the ones for the 8086. I'm not referring 8086, you know, when there was DOS, not Windows of today, because now there is ADA, which is quite powerful. But I'm referring text-based disassemblers. It is. I've never seen one more complex than it. So I think it's referring to the versions, because I saw version 4 and version 6 and 6. So how they are displayed in the menu, basically, for resource. But most of the time you will be working with this, okay? With these registers. I don't think there is more to say, except that when I'm just going to select one of them, but I'm just thinking a bit before I think blitz size changed. mm, I'm looking for a register that has um, some small little changes. BlitCon 0, I think. BlitCon 0, BlitCon 0. Sorry, not PPL con 0, not Blit. PPL. That is 100. Yeah, this one. So when you look at the bits, okay, and what they mean, I think some of these, I think this one, for example, so you need to read because there will be some difference between ECS and OCS, okay? So a difference in the sense probably in OCS in OCS it means it was always at 0, but in ECS it was always a 1. So here it's saying, for example, pre-ECS. Okay, so check the bit because maybe there will be something that might have changed. You always need to decide for which chipset you are coding, and then depending on the chipset that you are coding, you use the registers according to that. Normally the chipset is decided by which machine, okay? So it's not that you decide. If you're doing A500, you know that is OCS, okay? A500 plus is ECS, so there is this distinction. Or 600 is ECS, and then A1200 is AGA. So that is all about this page. Let's go to our game. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention is this block of data in our game. I've been sharing the code, and today I realized that this was wrong. I had to change it. The reason why is the sprite data. This is the sprite, the animation of the player, okay? The sprite data, okay, it is there and it is correct, but it's inverted. So I had to, so where there is 0 you will see FF, and where there is F you will see 0. So I had to change that. We haven't used this yet because what I did in the beginning, if I go and find the player data that we are using, so we go to the sprites, okay. So here are the sprite definition. The player I had already populated with data, okay, and made a default sprite. This is a sprite structure, okay, for the Amiga. Okay, I have two labels for it, sprite data and sprite 0. Sprite 0 is to indicate that it is the first sprite, but sprite data is where all my sprite data is, so that's why I have two labels. This method, okay, it is like a C structure, okay. You have a byte, another byte, another byte, and another byte. They all mean something. Then you get the data for the sprite, and then you indicate the end of the sprite by putting two words of 0. Okay, so initially when we run the game, okay, so I'm going to run it. By the way, have you done the latest update of Visual Code, and have you done the latest update of the extension? because the extension got an update yesterday, and also Visual Code got an update yesterday. So the data that you see there, okay, is of this sprite. Now we're going to animate this today, and we have 6 frames, 2 for each position. So 2 for the left, 2 for the middle, and 2 for the right. So what we need is somehow, because this is the sprite structure, this is not going to change, this is in the copy list, okay? This is being, there's a pointer to it in the copy list that points to that structure. So if you recall, but we have sprite pointers, and we are populating this sprite 0, okay? In the beginning, we are populating. We have a in it. Let's find it in its sprite. We have this small routine that sets the pointers for the sprite, okay, where it is in our copper. So this is one thing that is annoying me, this scrolling, instead of having a file where I just tab and I just go to the copy list, okay, because you'll be doing this quite a lot. Another one is for the data, and another one is for the code, and another one is for the constants. So this now that the file is quite long, we need to divide it. But for today, let's try to make the animation, and then if there is time, I divide it today, or I start dividing it next week, because it takes some time, I have to say, to get it right, when the code is so long already. So we are initializing these 2 pointers, okay? Well, actually it is 1 pointer, but it's divided into 2 words, okay? So we are just setting this pointer. In this address we put the high word, and in this address we put the low word. Of course, in our sprite enemy routine, we are updating this, which was explained earlier. For the sake of Emanuele, because he asked this question, this is the routine for updating the bit planes. As you can see, it is the standard normal routine. I do not have 6 like what you had. You had 6 and 2 here. I have 4 and 2, and the reason being that let's go on here so that I bring them together. What is bit plane pointers here? The reason being, I did my pointer, the game bitplane pointer, I put the label exactly where I have to write first. Okay, Fabio does it here, the label, okay, does it here before the id0, and I did it after the id0. It doesn't gain anything, it's just that I prefer it like that, because I see that I am writing in terms of vision more than anything. I see that I'm writing at this address, and at this address the first time. So when I want to check, I can easily check what's in the copper. But the routine is the same. We have here, I have the number of bit planes. You have 2 there, so it's 3 bit planes. In my case, we have 3, okay, because it's 8 colors. and it's 3 minus 1. Okay, so you get 2 because decrement and branch goes to 0. Okay, but the rest is the same. I have, instead of the number, I have a bit plain size, and 8 is standard because that's how much you need to add to go to the next one. But the rest is the same. Okay, so let's go to the data. So what we need to do, first of all, and I'm going to bring the other one here. Yeah. What we need to do is have a routine that copies from here, okay, to here. Okay, we pass it a parameter. Okay, it will be the address of our data. So 80 will point to one of these 6 positions, and then it will copy the data to from here to the sprite structure because we need that. So let's find, for example, another thing that is annoying me is this, you know, the variable area. I would like it to be separate so that I can go in the tab up here and see the variables immediately. But anyway, so, and actually talking about variables, we will need to create some. And I need to think a bit here because, yeah, so actually we need to start from this first. So these will be related to the sprite. So let's click on here. 1, we do not update the animation, okay, every frame. So we need some kind of delay, no? So player animation. And let's name this player delay. So it will be a byte, and we actually should define a constant here. Let's call it, I will create it in a minute. Frame delay. And since it's a byte, I need to enter even, okay, to align the data. So that is 1. We will need the positions where we are. We need an address. No, not an address. We need the frame number where we are in the animation, I guess. So yeah, which frame are we? Okay, so animation frame. Or actually, we call it animation position. Animation number position. I think it makes no sense. We need 3 of these. So anim left, and this should be 0 here. And then we add the others. So middle and right. So okay, so we have a place where to store it, which frame we are using of the animation. In our case, because we only have 2, it will be just frame 1 or frame 2. So not a big thing. We need to create this constant. So we need to go to the top where we have our constants. That is related to Sprite. To player more than anything. Let's declare it here. Not sure how much I should do this. I would say, let's say every 10 frames we animate. We will measure it, okay? We will player animation delay. So basically the animation, if we say 10, that means we would be doing it if we have 50 frames per second and we set 10, okay, every we will have 5 frames per second, okay, so it will be very slow in a way, but anyway, we'll see. It's not that we do not want to look like he's flying, you know, so yeah, let's do that. Now we need the copy routine. Yeah, we need to copy. So let's move to the, so that I remember the names, because that's one thing. Let's find where the data is. Yeah, and let's call the routine here. So we let's find the end where the date where we wrote the last routine. So that is the game variables, and this is random. No, before random we need to write it. What is this one? Okay, enemy screen update. Okay, so let's do it here. So this will be copy player data, and we will need to pass it an address, so 80 So, okay, the destination, we always know what it is. So, what shall we call it? Copy layer sprite data. I do not think much about names. As I think them, I write them. So that's why they come up long names. But for you guys, it makes sense not to have them long. Like that, it gives you an indication better of what um, we are doing or you are doing. So, okay. So what we need is copy this data to the sprite structure. Okay. So let's, because actually these pointers here, these are the address of these, will be in our 80. So what we need is the sprite structure, which is here. So we need to copy the data here where there is sprite data. So I can cheat a bit here, but I'm not going to do it for your sake, okay? And I will tell you why I can cheat. Because I use the appropriate labels to be able to cheat. But it's a question of habit more than. So this is Sprite SPR 0 underscore. Actually, automatically I'm doing it. I said I won't cheat, but I'm going to cheat. Into A1. Okay, so what I was going to say is I will use this address, okay, and then add 4 to it, which is 4 bytes. But actually, me, okay, it automatically, because I like to create the sprites into this format, okay, I automatically went into sprite 0 data. So yeah, we will just copy there. This is where our data needs to be at the end. But I've seen it in many times in code of others where they get the sprite address where it is, the sprite structure address, and then they add 4 bytes. Okay, so move quick dot long. We have the sprite is 16 high, but we go to 0, so -1, comma the 0. Here we need a label definitely because this is our loop. Copy image data. Remember, the dot means it's a local label. Okay. Move dot long, and now what we have in A0, which we will pass, okay, into A1. And then you can use dbf. I am too much of an old school. I still use the BRA. It doesn't matter, you know. At the end, it is the same opcode, so it doesn't matter what you use. It's the new format. Well, new. The new format of how to specify the instructions for the 68,000. It's not much changed, but the addressing modes were a bit maybe more intuitive. I don't know. I prefer the old version, so old way. Yeah, that's correct. And then yes. So we need to pass a 0 to this routine, and it should be able to copy the data, whatever data we give it, to this address here, okay, and replace these. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Now we need the actual animation. So let's start with my usual Odyssey. Um, Update animation player. Of course, we will call it update on player. So first we said we will do the animation every so often, every so number of frames. So that means we'll have to do a sub quick, okay, images 1 comma, and we called it, you see, this is my main issue. We called it play anim delay. Let's make it big. Which means player animation delay. Okay. If we have not reached 0 for the counter, then we exit. So that is standard. And somewhere down here we will have dot exit and RTS. Okay. Then if it reach our counter, we need to reset it. And what did we call it? Anim frame delay. Yeah. IntelliSense search for something and then we move it to play anim at anim. Okay, so we have reset it. Now we need to start doing our checks. So we will have basically we will write one routine, which is, for example, for the left position, but the left position will be identical, so the middle one will be identical to the left and the right will be identical to the left in a way. So the code will not vary by much once we write the left position. So we need to read the sprite. So where our player is. So we call it sprite x, yeah. I do not like that we are still calling it, that should be player underscore x. So that's another thing that I'm not liking. Let me take a note of it. Yeah, these are all things that I would like to fix. Because, sprite underscore x doesn't say much, no? So it's a naming convention that sometimes you give names, but then you realize you change the name, no? So this is one of them. At the time when we were doing it, we were just testing the sprites. So yeah, into Phaze101. This is not word, this is bytes. I know because it's X, so it is a word. Because X can be more than 255. But we are only interested because we don't move more than that. And dot. Okay, so here, to be fair, I do not need to do this. Okay, I am doing it more for the beginners to understand. And even this, the way I'm going to write it, I do not need to write it like this. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So what I'm making sure is that D0, okay, only contains the sprite x data because we're going to use it as long. So the upper bits are 0. That's what I did there. I don't think we need this here, okay, but right now I just did it also for in my head. I know that I have a did 0 which is clear. Okay, I could have cleared the 0 and then did the n and then did move dot where the sprite x comma did 0, but like that. In a way, I am emphasizing that I am only interested in the data needs to be in the low byte. And also it's another way of you guys seeing things. So now here we are going to do this. We're going to do the left, okay? Left pause. I think that makes more sense. So what will we have animation? We have either frame 0 or frame 1. So compare.byte. Okay. Now I might be reasoning wrongly, okay, in my head right now, but I'm just going to do it as my head is telling me. Then when I look at it, I will realize whether I have reason it correctly or not. You see, I already know that I made a mistake here. Why I am comparing, I need to read first. We need to read the position, no? So compare byte and left, yeah, comma 0, because we read it and we need to compare. Are we in the left position? That's what I'm saying. If not, then we jump to middle position. So we already know that somewhere up here, down here, we have middle post. Okay, so if we are in the left position, now it's what we need to do. In which frame are we? So now it's where we compare. So we compare if we are in frame 1 of animation left. If we are not, so it's a if then else every time, okay? That's what I'm basically doing here. If we are not, we jump because we are in frame. We are in frame 2. I mean, for now, let's leave it as frame 2, and then we might change the name. So, if we are not in frame 2, if we are in frame 1, we need to change it. So even though there is no frame 1, I'm going to enter frame 1 here, just for my documentation purposes. So we are interesting. We compared if we are in 1. If we are not, we jump to frame 2. As we stay on frame 1. How shall I do this? I think, okay, yeah. So let's see if I'm reasoning this correctly. So we are in frame 1. So move 1 to in length. Yeah. Then we need the address of the animation. No, we need which one. So in this case, it is what was it called? So let's go here. Player anim 1. I might have some bug here, but for now. Okay, PC comment 0. So we have a value in 80. So now we call our copy routine. So branch to routine should do it and copy player spread data, right? Yeah. And if so, then branch. Yes. And we exit. Now I'm already thinking probably I can optimize this, but for now I'm just going to leave it like that because I think the copy data, I can do it. Um, I can do it on exit. So basically I just do LEA, 0 and then branch to exit, and before I exit I do the copy date. But for now, let's do it like that. I think it makes in the eyes it's better, for you to learn. We are not I'm not trying to optimize code here, or I'm not trying to um, make it's a simple game. There's no speed in it. It's just avoiding the objects, nothing else. And we are not short of memory, so we can afford um, to waste a bit of memory, waste a bit of cycles. It doesn't matter. The main point is for you to learn. So, by the way, I'm noticing. I just checked now. Hello, Silverrat. I just want to say, after last stream, Silverrat sent me the joystick routine that we did. I'm trying to remember where it is right now. Yeah. So this is what we coded it during the live stream. Okay. And I commented it out, and I added the code that Silverette sent me. Okay, it's the same code but a bit optimized. Also, I then optimized it a little bit more, but it's not. I don't normally do this. Okay, but I have two RTS in the routine. Okay, the reason why I did it is because they are close to each other. You can see them. So whether when we are falling, whether we are falling normal speed or fast fall, we just change. We just go to that part and we exit. So in the version that you will get um, of the code for this episode, you will have both. Um, for the reading the joystick, you will have both versions. You just need to uncomment or comment one or the other. In during the live stream I did this, but I'm using this, the one of Silverette. So thank you very much. I mean, I like to see people getting involved in what I do. So thank you very much for even trying, let alone sending me the code and um, doing things. I mean, most of the code that we do here, it can be optimized. Okay, I am not optimizing for you to learn. Okay, this is sometimes I use simple things just for the sake of um, you guys, so that you can learn. Like what I'm doing right now. So that is frame one. So frame two should be a copy of frame one. So frame two, right? So we either are in frame one or frame two, or should I say 0? So we can do, actually, it's either a 1 or a 0. Ah, yeah, you're welcome, Sibarat. So here I can do clear.byte, and like that we have a 0 in anim left. So when I will change this, so we copied the frame. We basically checked which frame we are. I think we need to make some adjustment somewhere else. So if we are in frame 2, which is anim left will have 0, we will pass that, copy the data, and exit. If we are in frame 1, we copy the data and exit. But somewhere we are updating the somewhere we need to update this number, the anim left and anim right, the frame number basically. Okay, let's continue. I think I started from the tail of this. Let's see. But we did the left position. Okay, so the same as we did for the left, we need to do for the right position. So just for my sake now, okay, I'm going to, because else I will get confused. Here we have check. And I like to use this system. So we reach 120. And now we can start the middle position. Like that, I know that's one block of code related to the left position. So now in the middle position, and we will need also one for the right position. So this is check if we are on the, if we are middle position, we are in the middle position now. And now I can copy this and then change. So you see how I code things. I do small blocks, and then normally the blocks repeat. So I just started with the left. I did wrote the code for the left, and then I know that middle and right will be a copy of it. So now I'm just going to, I do not need to think now. All I need to do is change this to middle, if I write it correctly, and this will be right pose now. Now the animation will be middle here, and we jump to frame 4. in our case, because this will be 4 and this will be, and the animation value will still be either 0 or 1, but for animation middle. And the copy will still be the same. No, won't be the same. This, see, I had a mistake here. This will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, this will be 4. Because we are copying, let's find it again. We are copying one of these. So we need to specify that, the address of it, not an address that did not exist because I forgot to put the number. So this frame 3 and frame 4 is good also because they match these. So I did this without thinking, but luckily they match these. So I should not have frame 3 here because it's obvious it will do this, but I still put a label there to know that it is related to frame 3. Okay, so it is this animation. Okay, so that's better. So now with the same thing, exit doesn't need to be there. Yeah, that's fine. Sorry. So this part needs to be copied down here. And this is right pause. And we put right. And of course here now we have exit, no? And here we have right. And this will be 5 and 6. And then that will still be the same. That is exit. This is right. And that's it. So what we do not have is whether we have a 0 or a 1. Actually, we do. I am initializing it. I'm setting. I set them to 0, right? Let's find the variables. So I set them to 0. So initially, okay, they all 3 of them, okay, whichever position we are. Let's say we are on the left position. Actually, we start in the middle position. Let's do that. We are in the middle position. So are we in the middle position? Yes. What is the value that we have in the anim middle? In here we have 0, so it's not a 1. So we go here and we tell it to copy the data, but we have one thing which is missing. What resets the data for the next frame when we change the frame, the animation? Where shall we put it? Where shall we put that? And actually, so as I said, this can be copied into here, okay, and removed from all blocks, okay. So I'm not optimizing right now, but I am just saying how we can optimize it. All these, where we have branch to subroutine copy, can be moved at exit here, okay. I'm just leaving it like this so that you see the code when you are reading it, it's more visible. And actually, we do not need even this last line. So we would save quite a bit of memory if we had to remove all this, okay. Anyway, I'm leaving it for your sake, but I think you get the gist of how we can optimize more. I'm still thinking where to put the one where we change the animation frame that we had. We have to somehow think when to change it. So in theory, we should change it. So when this goes to 0, then we change the frame. So we start with this. Or could be in the joystick routine. So we can actually we can do it here, but I'm thinking the right place for it. Okay, so before I make that decision and say, okay, this is where it's going to be. Come on, where is it? Read joystick. No, that's what it was. It went here. So where we will animate it, we have what's the word? Okay. This one, no? So we can do it up here, but then it depends. Any suggestions? Any ideas? I can see it here, but I'm not sure if it's in the right place right now. Where shall we say we change those values? So if we are in at 0, it changes. we start with 0, so we put frame 0. But then what makes it change to frame 1? It should be after and in the main loop. So let's go to the main loop. So we are doing this routine. I'll leave it like that. Because we are it's not a bad idea. There has to be a strange, a simple thing. We are updating it there. What decrements it? Because somehow we are decrementing it. Once we decrement, then we know that we need to animate it. I'm going to do it there. I'm just going to do it here. Yeah, I think it's the best way to do it. So what we need to do here to animate it. So we need to move. We have moved one. And here we cleared it. So am I actually flipping it already? If we are 1, go to frame 2. We start with 0, so we come here. Oh yeah. We start with 0. So we come here. So what I need to do is actually flip them. It's quite simple, no? Am I copying the sprite data, update the animation, but what I want to flip now from one frame to another so that it looks like it's moving, no? It's doing something. So if we are 1, I have something in the logic here. If we are 1, we start with 0, so we're going to find 0 in our anim left. If we find 0, oh yeah, we are moving 1. I'm already doing it. My God, I'm already doing that. I'm already doing the flipping. So we start with 0, no? So we compare for 1. It's not. So it's at 0, branch on equal. Nah. I need to flip these. That's my mistake, I think. So this needs to be here, and this needs to be here. Because if we start with a 0, then we go to frame 2. We set it to 1, and then when we come back, we set it to 0. Yeah, That's my mistake. And I will assume no, right? What did I delete? Yeah, it makes sense like this, no? Come on. That's why it was confusing me. And I was saying, okay, I'm missing something here. So that's it. So we have clear and then move one. We have clear and move one. We have clear and move one. Yeah. So now let's see. We're going to see in a minute. I saved it. And we should be able to run it. Given I have no bugs. There. I expect too much. Okay, so what do I of course this should be 5 and 6, no? And this means it needs to move to 6. What else we have? It's saying Sprite data. So that is not Sprite data, I guess. Sprite 0, I think it is. Yeah. No, Sprite 0 data. Yeah, it's correct. Move that long. It is not finding it. Sprite 0. What's wrong with this instruction? What I'm missing? It cannot be that. No, it's still not like it. The only thing is the error I do not understand of visual code. I removed the comma, the space after the comma, but it's giving me this error, which is error 10. Number or identifier expected. I think I'm going to do, because I have seen this sometimes. It's like it gets confused. So let's see. I just closed it and I'm going to reopen it again. No. Now it's link reference undefined symbol. So we have some case update player anim. Where is that? Update. Let's find it. Look, it is all routine, no? That's one. Two, and there shouldn't be more. Yeah. So okay, so if it's a link error, let's do one thing. Let's delete here the object here in build. Let's delete this. Sometimes it gets confused. And now let's build it again. Okay, so we definitely have some reference undefined symbol. Update anim player. Exit. Hold on. Update anim player. Let's go there. Okay, I think I know what it's saying. Somewhere we have, you see, it's so sensitive because it's capital. This is something that there's a way around it. Okay, you can specify in the um, in Visual Code, you can tell it to ignore case. But then, if you do something else, okay, let's say you're calling Amiga libraries, etc. Normally, you need case sensitivity there. So I did not switch it off. See, it passed. The include files of the Amiga, they are they can be case sensitive, so depends what you use. So this is why I didn't switch it off, but there's a way of switching it off. So we need to enable the joystick, I guess. We see it's not port 1, definitely, but it should be port 2. So it is, but it is working, but not the animation. Hold on, did we enable the routine in the main loop? Oh, so of course I left. It was commented, no? Boom. Now we're in it. Good one. Ooh. Did I click on it? Yeah. Oh, something is not right. That it's doing the animation. Look at his eyes. But probably I need to set up the joystick again. This is, yeah, it didn't kept what I did. Configuration. Save it. Let's see if it will save it. So yeah. So the animation is his eyes, and it is doing it. It's holding to the wall. When we go to the other side, it's doing it also. And in the middle, it is, of course, more speed, and the eyes are a bit faster, I guess, the way I did the animation. I'm seeing the in the middle, the head has got something that is funny. But when I copied the data, I think I made some mistake there. But yeah, it is working, the animation. And it's funny how that thing, my own reasoning, threw me away in, I swapped the 0 and the 1, something so simple. But yeah, this is quite cool. It's doing it. So we need to make a routine that when we arrive, when we stay for long here in the middle, he dies. But because to do that, we need the end routines. Okay, so in the next episode, we will do what happens when he collides. So we need to have collision detection, and once we have collision detection, then we can have the end routine. Okay, and then we can create the routine that measures some time, some fixed time, and then he dies basically. Right now, also notice, I'm just going to move him to the left or right. When we are in the meeting, the speed increases, but also notice that the sprites, okay, they can come out one on top of the other. That is because we are not leaving any time, not enough time uh, when we respawn. Okay, it's not happening right now, but we need to check or make a respawn, say, timer, not as it is now, that they come out. I mean, I do have a random thing when they come out. So basically, I'm saying, okay, there's a between 0 and 255, select a number, and I will wait that number of frames. But if the delay is very low, then they will come one on top of the other if it happens to be in the same row. So that's also another, let's say, mistake. Not mistake, I mean things that we need to fix, and that's what I'm going to write it down. So fix the. By the way, hi honey, Dr. Honey. I didn't realize you're here. Fix the sprite. When you are coding, I mean, you always need to have like a piece of paper, even though you're using the computer, where you write things that you need to do, because you'll miss them. Then you probably write them somewhere else when you finish. But yeah, Same thing, we need to fix the colors so that where is black in the HUD becomes blue, and where is blue becomes black when we write, but we will deal when we are doing the HUD. So in the next episode, we will have to do the collision detection now, definitely. And then we need to a routine that when the player when basically he dies, let's say he's hit, okay, in the original game, remember, if he doesn't die, he loses energy. For right now, he's going to die, okay? So we reset, we start again from the beginning. So basically, the sprites will vanish and go back to the bottom. Um, we will do that. Eventually, we will make it like the original, but for now, we are just building the routines, and then we will start modifying that code. Okay. But also we need to fix this thing that we only have one, everything is in one file. It is starting to be very difficult to manage. I mean, during those days we used to use one file basically where the code lives, and how we managed, God knows, or maybe use two or three, but not many. But now that we have this flexibility, we need to divide the code. So I want a file for constants, okay, for these. I want a file for the data, okay, the game data, okay. Then I want a file for the couple list, okay, which is this part, and then another file for the variables. This one, and then the code we will divide it for in the beginning we will leave it as one file, okay. The code will be in one file, but then let's say we will have one file for the player, so all the routines related to the player will be in one file. All the routines related to the enemies will be in one file, and all the others, let's say the random routine, which has nothing to do with player or with the enemies, will be in, we can call it utilities file or whatever. Same for the initialization of the screen and all that stuff. It's just initialized, it's just set up basically. So yeah, that is what we can do. There isn't enough to start it, unfortunately, so I am going to finish here. Before I finish, because I just want to, yeah, because there are some of my friends here that I know that they like C, okay. So although I forgot most of my C knowledge is really little, okay. This is just a copy routine that you can do with C, okay. And what we did here in the update, okay, it's a bunch. If you had to just go through this, it's a bunch of if then else. Basically, you do a check for, are we on the left position? Yes. Are we in frame 2 or frame 1? Yes or no. And depending on that, we select the routine. Then we basically change the pointer into, oh, thanks Peter. And then basically we change the pointer, okay, which one we want depending for the animation. So it's It's quite a simple way of changing pointers like what you do in C, basically. So, guys, thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely weekend and hope to see you next week. Anyway, hope to see you next week. We continue with the game. Okay? Thank you and bye bye.